You felt it walking home late at night, footsteps behind you, and your heart is already pounding before you've even turned to look. Notice the order there. The fear came first. You didn't see a threat, weigh it, and decide to be afraid. The alarm was already ringing while you were still turning your head. We tell ourselves a simple story about feelings. Something happens out in the world, and then, in response, we feel. The insult lands, then the anger rises, the footsteps come, then the fear. But that story has the timing backwards. A growing number of neuroscientists now argue that your brain isn't reacting to the world at all. It's predicting it. The fear on that dark street wasn't a response to danger. It was a guess your brain had already made and started acting on before the danger was even confirmed. And it makes that guess the same way the AI everyone's talking about makes its next word. So here's the question worth sitting with. Is your fear a response to what's happening to you, or is it a bet your brain placed before the world even arrived? Start with what your brain is actually doing all day, because it isn't what it feels like. It feels like you open your eyes and the world pours in. Like your senses are windows and you're just looking out. That's not how it works. Your brain is locked in a dark, silent skull. It has never once touched the world directly. All it ever gets are signals, light on the eye, pressure on the ear, chemicals on the tongue. And from that thin stream of data, it has to build the entire world you experience, so it doesn't wait around. It guesses. Before you walk into your kitchen, your brain has already predicted what you'll see, down to where the counter is. Your eyes mostly just check the guess. When the prediction is right, which is almost always, you feel like you're simply seeing. You only notice the machinery when it's wrong. That jolt when a step isn't where your foot expected it. That's a prediction. Failing. There's a strange little proof of this hiding in everyday life. Play someone a badly garbled recording of a sentence, and they hear meaningless noise. Then tell them the words, and play the exact same garbled sound again. Suddenly they hear it, clear as day. Nothing changed but the prediction. Their brain finally knew what to expect, so that's what they heard. We used to think emotions worked in a simple order. Something happens, then you feel. Danger, then fear. But the newer picture flips it. Your brain predicts that danger is coming, and it builds the fear to get you ready for it. The racing heart, the tense muscles, the narrowed focus. Those aren't the aftermath of fear. They are the fear, assembled in advance, so your body is prepared for the threat your brain is betting on. Go back to the dark street. Your brain has a lifetime of data that says empty streets at night can be dangerous. So the moment you hear footsteps, it doesn't pause to analyze. It runs the prediction, floods your body, and gets you ready to run, all before you consciously decide anything is wrong. The feeling isn't a reading of the present. It's a forecast written from your past, and it isn't only fear. Someone gives you a flat, cold reply, and anger flares up fast, but the anger isn't sitting inside their words. Your brain predicted a threat to your standing and built the anger to defend it, pulling on things that have nothing to do with that person, whether you slept, what you ate, the last few times someone spoke to you in that tone. The feeling shows up wearing the mask of a simple reaction when it's really a forecast, stitched together from your body and your history. And most of the time, you take the forecast for the plain truth of the moment. Now, you've probably heard someone say the brain is just a giant language model. It's tempting, and it's half right. Think about what a system like ChatGPT does. It takes everything that came before and predicts the next word, then checks, then adjusts. Your brain is doing something with the same shape. It takes everything that came before and predicts the next moment, then checks against your senses, then adjusts. Both are prediction engines, both run on the past. That's the real similarity, and it's worth taking seriously. But this is where the comparison falls apart, and the difference matters far more than the likeness. A language model predicts symbols. You predict survival. The whole reason your brain is guessing at all is to keep a body alive. It's tracking your blood sugar, your temperature, your heart, whether you're about to run out of air. This inward sensing even has a name: interoception. The brain reading your body from the inside, constantly, and predicting what it's going to need next. Low on energy? Raise hunger. Danger coming? Raise fear. Pushed too hard? Raise fatigue. Every feeling is that system placing an order for the body. Hunger, fear, exhaustion, they're the brain managing a fragile organism that has to make it to tomorrow. A language model has none of that. It doesn't have a body. It doesn't get hungry. It has never once had to survive. Your feelings exist because you do. And that idea, that a feeling is a bodily event in service of staying alive, is not new. A neuroscientist named Antonio Damasio wrote a whole book about it, and he called it Looking for Spinoza, because he thinks a lens grinder in the 1600s saw the shape of this 3 centuries before the brain scans. Spinoza's radical move was to deny that the mind and the body are 2 separate things. They're one thing, described 2 ways. And an emotion for Spinoza is a change in your body's power to act, together with the idea of that change in your mind. Damasio sharpens it into 2 words. There's the emotion, the bodily event, the racing heart itself, and there's the feeling, your conscious sense of that racing heart. It sounds backwards, but the body often moves first. You don't decide you're nervous and then get a knot in your stomach. The knot forms, and the nervousness is you reading the knot, the body shifts, and the feeling is you registering the shift. And underneath all of it, Spinoza put a single drive he called the conatus. Every living thing, he said, strives to persist in its own being. That striving is exactly what the predicting brain is for. Not to see the world accurately, to keep you going. Your emotions, in that light, aren't noise getting in the way of the real work of survival. They are the work of survival happening in real time. Here's what actually changes if this is true. If a feeling were a clean reaction to reality, you'd be stuck with it. The world does X, you feel Y, end of story. But if a feeling is a prediction, built out of your past, then it's something you can work on. Not by force. You can't talk yourself out of the fear on the dark street any more than you can argue with your own heartbeat. Willpower loses that fight every time. What you can do is go back and change the data the prediction is built from. And this is the move Spinoza was pointing at, all the way back then. He wrote that an emotion which is a passion stops being a passion the moment we form a clear and distinct idea of it. Read that as a line about prediction. When you actually understand where a feeling came from, what caused it, what it was really about, you're not deleting it. You're feeding the predictor better information. The fear built from confusion slowly becomes something you grasp, and once you grasp it, it stops running you. The passive thing that happened to you becomes an active thing you understand. Picture a remark that stung for days. Keep it vague and it keeps hurting. Then one afternoon you actually trace it. You see the person was worn thin that day, that it landed on an old bruise of yours, that it was never really about you at all. The sting doesn't vanish, but it loosens, because the prediction underneath it just got better information. That's the whole practice. Not wrestling the feeling down, but understanding it until it quietly updates. So go back to that street and the footsteps behind you. The fear that hit you wasn't really about that street at all. It was your brain's best guess, assembled in an instant from every dark street you'd ever walked, every story you'd ever heard, every night you'd ever felt small. You can't win an argument with a guess that fast, but you're not stuck with it either. Over time, with understanding, you can teach that machine a better prediction. That's the strange, hopeful thing hiding inside all this. Your feelings aren't verdicts handed down by reality. They're forecasts, written by you, from your own history. Stoicism tells you to accept the feelings you can't control. Spinoza tells you why you couldn't control them in the moment, and how you slowly can. You were never fighting the world. You were only ever meeting your own model of it, and that isn't a smaller kind of power than controlling everything around you. It might be the only kind you ever actually had. The events will keep coming, uninvited and indifferent. But the model that turns those events into feelings, the one that decides what a dark street or a cold reply even means, that model was built by you. And a model, unlike a fact, can be taught something new.